Hey guys, we are going to do a lesson on adding and subtracting our one-step equations. So remember, for an equation, the whole point is that the two sides of the equation are equal. And in order to solve an equation, so like this example on number 2, in order to solve an equation, our goal is to isolate the variable. So I mean, get it by itself, so that basically we just have an answer, x equals an answer. Okay, so we're going to isolate our variables, and the way to do that is to get rid of whatever is happening with it. And the way that we get rid of that thing is by doing the inverse operation, or the opposite operation. So if it's an addition problem, we're going to subtract. If it's a subtraction problem, we're going to add, always doing the opposite operation. Okay. We are really particular about how we have you show your work for this, because as we keep going, these are going to get harder and harder, and we really want you to keep it nice and organized. So I do need you to show your work the same way I'm going to demonstrate right now. We do take points off if you don't show your work the right way, because I promise you it's going to help you in the long run, and we just want you to get used to it now when they're not too hard. Okay, so how we set it up is we like to draw a line down the middle. The point of this line is because it's helping us to remember that keep this equation balanced. So anything I do on the right side of the line, I have to do on the left side of the line, and vice versa, just to keep it balanced. So what I mean is, in this problem, x minus 3 equals negative 12. It says I'm subtracting 3, so to isolate my x, I'm going to do the opposite and add 3. Over here on the left, that gets rid of that and gives me just an x left over. Okay, because if you subtract 3 and then add 3, you're right back to just having x. Like these two would cancel out to be a 0, right? Negative 3 plus 3 equals 0. So that's why it's just x. And then we do the same thing on the other side. So this is what I mean. I need your work to look like this. I need you to show me your balancing, so that you did plus 3 on both sides, not just on one side. Then I can actually do my work off to the side and solve the problem. So I have a negative 12 plus 3. Different sign, subtract. So I'm really going to do 12 minus 3, which is 9. Keep the sign of the larger number. So the larger number here was the negative 12, so x equals negative 9. And that is our answer. Okay. The one really nice thing about equations is that you can always plug your number back in, so substitute your answer back in and check and see if you got it right. So if I plug in negative 9 into the original equation, so negative 9 minus 3, keep, change, negative 9 plus negative 3, same signs, add and keep, would give me negative 12. And I was trying to get negative 12 here, so guess what? We got it right, and we get a happy teacher. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 3. Same thing. First thing we want to do is draw our line down the middle. Okay. Negative 5 plus y equals 10. Our goal here is to get y by itself, so that after we do our work, we have y equals our answer. So to do that, I need to get rid of this plus negative 3. So what's the opposite of adding a negative 3? Well, it's subtracting. Sorry, I keep saying 3. I mean 5. Subtracting a negative 5. Right? Instead of adding negative 5, I'm subtracting negative 5. I know this one's weird because you've got two signs, but that's because up here I also have these two signs, right? It was adding negative 5, so now I'm subtracting negative 5. And I need to do the same thing on the other side as well. And then over here, those kind of cancel out. I get y. On the right side, I am going to actually do that. So if it's 10 minus negative 5, and I keep change, because it's a subtraction problem, it's really 10 plus positive 5. Well, 10 plus 5 is just 15. So y equals 15. I could substitute this back in just to check my work. So negative 5 plus 15, different sign, subtract. So I would do 15 minus 5, which is 10. The larger number was the positive 15, so positive 10. We got it right, and we get a happy teacher. All right, guys, let's look at the next one. Okay, start off by drawing your line. go ahead and look at it. Think if you can figure out what operation we should be doing for this one. So it's a subtraction problem. So we should be adding. So right now it's subtracting 3.4. So we're going to do the opposite and add 3.4. And whatever we do on the left, we're also going to do on the right so that we can keep this balanced. On the left side, those cancel out. We get y equals, and I actually need to do the math on the other side. So 7 plus 3.4. Don't forget to line up your decimals here. So the decimal's at the end of 7. So it's really 7.0 plus 3.4. Go ahead, add them up. And I'm getting 10.4. Y equals 10.4. Just like before, you can always check your work by plugging it back in. 10.4 minus 3.4. Well, 10.4 minus 3.4. If I subtract that, I get 7. And guess what? I get a happy teacher. Okay, go ahead and draw your line. Keep it nice and balanced and organized. See if you can figure out what operation we should be doing on both sides. Okay, so right now it's m plus 2 3/4. We should do the opposite and subtract 2 3/4. Subtract 2 3/4 from both sides. When I set that up off to the side, well, first of all, before I set anything up, it's a negative minus a positive. So real quick, let me think about this. If it's negative minus a positive, well, it's subtraction. So I'm going to keep change. It's really a negative plus a negative. So I'm going to treat this as addition, right? Because this is same signs, add and keep. Okay, that's a little bit of a tricky one. You really got to think about it. So I'm going to add these together. 1/2 plus 2 3/4. Before I can add my fractions though, I need to get common denominators. So I can change this to fourths as well. So times 2 times 2, I get 2/4 plus 2 3/4. 2/4 plus 3/4 is 5/4. 2 plus, this is like 0, so 2 plus 0 is 2. And then I can simplify that. I've got like a mixed number and an improper fraction all in one, so I got to simplify that. So 5/4 is equal to 1 1/4 plus the 2 I already had. So I'm getting that m is equal to 3 1/4. As always, you can substitute that in and check your work. But we forgot one thing. So we added our numbers together, but they were both negative originally. So really, sorry, this is a negative 3 1/4. But good news, you know how I figured that out in my head is because I checked the work real quick in my head and noticed that I was getting the wrong sign. So I had to figure out why. That's why. Okay, watch your signs always. You know that is what is making these units so hard. All those negative signs. All right, on to number 6. Go ahead and see if you can set it up. Maybe don't do all the work yet, just see if you can get it set up. So this is a tricky one because it's p minus -10. So remember, I always look at the operation. The operation sign is the subtraction. So instead of subtracting, I'm going to add, but I'm adding a -10. I know that one's a little weird, but you have to do the opposite operation. Okay, not the opposite sign, just the opposite operation. So on the other side, I'm going to add a -10. I'm just putting that in parentheses just so you can tell it's a -10, just so it doesn't confuse you. Okay, now I have to think about my integer rules. So it's a negative plus a negative, same signs, add and keep. So I'm going to add 12.2 plus 10.0. And I get 22.2. So P equals 22.2. Last thing I need to do is always check the sign. So it's a negative plus a negative. keep the sign, right? Add and keep. So it's a negative 22.2. All right, we're going to do one last one together. Go ahead and put your line down. Think about what operation we should be doing. So this is a minus 3/5. We want to do the opposite and add 3/5 to both sides. All right, so now I got to think about, am I going to actually be adding or subtracting? So remember, this -7/10 is just the same thing as -7/10. It makes the whole thing negative, so don't let that part confuse you. Okay, so I have a negative plus a positive. Different signs subtract, so I'm really going to subtract these. I'm going to take 7/10, your bigger one, minus your smaller one, so minus 3/5. I do need to make common denominators, so this I can change to tenths by multiplying by 2. So I have 7/10 minus 6/10. 7 minus 6 is 1/10. So different sign subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. The larger one here was that negative 7/10. So our answer is A equals negative 1/10. And as always, you can plug that back in and check your work. So there are several problems left. I want you to keep going all the way to the end, all the way through slide 16. The answer key is posted. So when you're done, or if you want to go one slide at a time, do the work, check the answer key, do the work, check the answer key, whatever you need to do. But I want you to keep going. Do make sure that you are showing your balance for all of the rest of these problems. I need to see that line, and I need to see that you did the work on both sides of it. And that's it, guys. Thank you.